Good evening, everyone, and welcome to STB, which 2-3, which brings you to the Austrian Grand Prix, the Styrian Mountains. Welcome the sound of F1 cars once again. So let's see who will be singing their way to the top step of the podium today. Perhaps terrible segue. Oh well. Running with it, don't care. Right. So good number of drivers racing here tonight. We have 16 drivers who will be taking on this circuit here today in this short qualifying followed by the 50% race distance, 36 laps, 3 DRS zones. The drivers will have to see if they can pull away from the drivers behind, but around here that is going to be easier said than done. Let's just say that much around what is this 10 corner circuit, with the most notable names of the circuit being the Niki Lauda curve, which is turn 1, and the Jochen Rindt curve, which makes up turn 9. Anyway, our first car out on track is indeed going to be Kaylee once again, so the Haas driver will be taking us around the lap of this Austrian Grand Prix circuit when they arrive back round again to start on the first lap in this qualifying session. Did not have the best of luck times last time out in a quick look at, I believe, Monza last week. Wet qualifying meant that the Haas driver only got one lap in the entire session, had trouble getting a lap on the board, and I think had trouble within the race. So it was quite unfortunate in the end, but we'll be looking to bounce back from what was not the best of races in the race of races last time out, and the king of speed circuits, or used to be the king of speed circuits, the Circuit de Nationals on Monza. That's probably very much butchered, but oh well. Anyway, we go from one circuit to another circuit. Anyway, Kaylee will be taking us around as you go around to the final corner. Now DRS will be in one of these 3 zones here as you come around to start on the lap. Doing a lot of sort of movements as you head down towards the Niki Lauda curve. Turn number 1, very big area to be able to validate on your laps and pick up warnings in the race. Does manage to keep it within the range of where it would be considered still within track limits through the Kinkit turn 2, end of sector 1, and now into turn 3. Very tight right-hander, crucial to get a good exit coming out of here as you go into the second of the 2 DRS straights, which will take us through this race if it's dry, and into turn 4. Coming up shortly, where obviously infamously we had the crash of Albon and Hamilton back in 2020, I do believe. Now we go past the point of Bottas lawn mooring into turns, I believe that's 6 and so gone past 5, that's 6 and 7 we're heading through at the moment, which marks the end of sector 2. A little bit out of position there, of course, but first lap time on the board, of course, so it's not too much of a worry, I suppose. Now heading through as you come through in towards turn 9, Rindt corner, and into the final corner. Does manage to keep it valid, but not the quickest lap time on the board, and does validate as you come around the corner, but it is going to be turn 10 and to go around for another lap, and has fortunately validated the next lap around as well. So it's unfortunate there as Kaylee has retired from the session. Not sure you're allowed to do that on track, so that one might be looked at. Who knows? STB Maldi gets himself to the top. First time on the board, a 1 minute 4.7. I'm expecting those times to go up as F1 Saint. First time seeing him, the Spaniard in the McLaren, so we're looking forward to seeing how he gets on. It would be the first time seeing a Spaniard in McLaren, if you're going off real life, I suppose. Keeson pops himself into second, the Canadian. Quite a few Canadians here today, as that's Ferrari spinning off just in front of him. We'll see who's coming across the line next. I think that was a McLaren coming around to starting a lap. I think that might be the Aston Martin, in which there is quite 2 Aston Martins this week actually as well. I'm trying to think someone who's currently on a lap at the moment. I think he's not currently at the start finish line, so we'll go down and I think we'll find one of the 2. That's Glasses coming across the line. He goes to third, does a 1 minute 6.9. I believe his teammate is coming across the line as well, or if Racer Boy just started on their lap, so nothing to be put from that one. Look further up, see who's going to be next across the line. Kirill Pasco just heading round. Another Canadian in the field here tonight, T-Butte. a little bit further up. He in the Ferrari. I think he's had a little bit of trouble. He's missing a little bit front wing there. Todd pops himself into fourth. EFC Alonso pops himself into third. As I say, I will try and keep up as much as per possible, but it will be, as I say, the more drivers sometimes and be coming across the line. And what can the other McLaren driver do? A 1 minute 4.7, the provisional quickest time, with 13 minutes still left in the session. I do believe that Ferrari driver is coming into the pits. Yes, they are. So we'll go down and see what Pasco's currently doing. Pasco has invalidation, unfortunately, so he's going to have to go around again. Race boy, I think, is going to be coming around to complete. He's gone round 10 now, so he'll be coming around to finish on his lap. So what's it going to be for the Mercedes driver? It is third place. It's 1 minute 4.9. Nice lap time on the board as the initial benchmark lap time for the Mercedes driver. Pasco, I think, will be the next one to come around and set lap times, depending on how much fuel these drivers have put in the car. But looking at it, looks like Pasco is not on a flyer. Looks like he's not using an ERS, which I would be suspecting. Will be interesting to see who can pull away from the DRS trains in the race, because that is going to be your sort of big concern if you're one of the drivers here racing tonight. Around here, because 3 DRS zones means it's pretty much effectively impossible unless you've got enough pace to pull away from everyone behind you, and effectively drags you into a battle with all the cars that may perhaps end up behind you. Maybe Pascal might be limbering himself up to go for another lap. Yes, he is. So we'll stay on board with the Aston Martin driver and see how the Canadian gets on around this circuit. So, as I say, it does a 1 minute 11.2, as I say, probably not a relevant lap time if I was looking at what pace he could potentially produce. Obviously, some of these drivers perhaps not full time, but they can, as I say, still provide to see how they do. As he goes 2.6 seconds quicker, I suppose. That last lap time wasn't really a relevant lap time. Let's just say that much. So we'll see how the Aston Martin driver is doing, heading through what is going to be Sector 2 split this time round, keeping it within track limits as the Aston Martin driver heads round to finish the Sector 2 split and heads into Sector 3, coming through kink at the end of second sector split. And we'll see how Aston Martin shapes up as they head through towards the final couple of corners into Rint turn 9 and into turn 10. And Prussel to get a good exit coming off of here, but I do think has backed off. But this is going to be able to get a good lap time on the board. What is it going to be? It's going to be 1 minute 4.8. Pops himself into third. Nice lap time there from the Aston Martin. So Stevens, I think, Pierre's just gone across the line. He's gone 7th, a 1 minute 5.0. So good lap time there. As Salty Stevens is going to be the next one to cross line in the Ferrari. His teammate, of course, tonight being Tebut. Is a 1 minute 4.5 for Salty Stevens. So good lap time there. Juan currently in this kit server. He's currently the next one, currently on a lap at the moment. With a few other people out on laps, a few new drivers, of course. You've got the Lionel Pierre has a lot of pace to him. Proc this is going to be a difficult one even to say. We know the glasses is for his lap time, and then obviously Saint as well has managed to say Saint for 1 minute 7. I think he's got a little bit more time in him, the Spaniard. Perhaps just a little bit of rustiness, perhaps maybe not race for a little bit. Can be understandable if it's perhaps the case. Joan heading through sector 2 split, a little bit of drifting from the rear of the car as he touches one of the curbs. You've got to be careful of the curbs around here, because some of the curbs are absolutely lethal. They will just spit the car out and you'll be left with the back end trying to swap into the front. So really it's just all about making sure that you don't get yourself in trouble. Anyway, Joan's coming towards the line. It is going to be a 1 minute 7.5. He pops himself into 13th, just behind his fellow Spaniard by around half a second. And Glasses had a moment, has retired in the pit lane. So the best he's going to be able to do is 11th. So unfortunate there, that's him done. Looks like we had a car off as well. No, I think that's a car getting out of the way, so nobody's there. Tebut and Prillo, the Italian and the Alpine and Tebut. I think Prillo's having a little bit of an adventure as we go on board. We go on the off-board shots with the Alpine. The Italian having a few adventures. He's lost the car coming out. I think that curb there. It's very easy to do if you get too much of that curb on the inside and the right-hand side. It's very easy to pick up the power in the back end just to slide out there. It's not going to have helped his tyre temperatures too much. Now because that's other car that's still in the pits at the moment is Tebut, not managed to get a lap time on the board. in the Ferrari. So one Ferrari with a time on the board is up in the lead, and the other one is still yet to get their lap times set up. But anyway, Pirlo I think is still on a lap, so we'll come back to him in just a little bit. I think EFC Alonso is currently in sector 1, so we'll come back to him shortly. He's currently in sector 2, the Canadian setting a purple middle sector. As Maldi gets starts on his first lap, Anvi is also on a lap at the moment, so I think Anvi might be come across the line. Nope, he's in sector 2, but he will be the next car to cross the line, so we'll stay on board with the McLaren driver, and we'll see what Anvi can do across the line around the final corner. A little bit of a slide, and that's the dangerousness of those curves. And that pretty much ruins the next lap for him as well, so unfortunately that's pretty much his lap time done. We'll go to Keys and then who is going to be next across the line. He's invalidated in the middle sector, so there's going to be no improvements there. Unfortunately, has backed off, so no improvements there on that one for him. Aldi's currently in sector 2 at the moment on the Visa Cash Up RB. I was about to say Toro Rosso there for a second. It's a very similar colour scheme. Sorry, hard to shake sometimes. And I think so. We know what happened to him as LDL Racer Boy. I think he's not improving his lap time. He won't be improving his lap time. This is something you're going to notice, by the way. The lap times, it's going to be very difficult, as there's I think time from I think that was a certain person has moved up. I didn't quite see who it was, unfortunately. So we'll see what Prill is currently doing. He's currently back out in a lap once again. I think he's made a mistake of that last lap and has decided he's done a 1 minute 5.8. So perhaps it's just a very close field. Perhaps rather than that, as Johan is about 9/10 up on his time. Just under 6.5 minutes to go in this qualifying session. And then, as I say, the racing action is, as I say, you won't want to go anywhere because the racing action coming up is going to be amazing. 16 drivers contesting around the Red Bull Ring circuit in the shadow of the Styrian Mountains. What more could you want, really? Apart from maybe the sounds of V8s, like maybe they used to have around here. But V8s or V10s, whichever one your preference is, really. Screaming V10s around here, around when it used to be the A1 ring many years ago. As Sean is about to come across the line, I think he's going to think quite a bit of time as he comes across the line, so it's going to be a 1 minute 5.6. Moves himself up into 11th, just behind his teammate Proc, who is about to start on his lap as Racer Boy goes to the top. 1 minute 4.548. Marginal improvements on Salty Stevens, who is now been demoted down second and probably will want his podium position back. His top step back, as Maldi has unfortunately validated, but has done a 1 minute 4.7, so should be happy with that lap time for the time being. Pierre pops himself into third, the Frenchman. So we know Pierre's pace. He has some incredible, he showed incredible pace from what I've seen of the time I've seen him so far racing in, of course. So I would put him up there as a potential candidate for a potential race win if he can keep himself, as I say, out of trouble. Which normally he can do, so as I say, if he qualifies well, then he should be all good. We'll go down and find, I think it's Proc on a lap at the moment. Yes, but is down by about just under a tenth and a half for Proc. I believe also Canadian as well. So another one of the Canadian, Canadian contingent. CC if you might in that one. But yeah, as he's about to come across the line, he doesn't improve on his time. He's 48,000 slower on his personal best. Todd about to start on his lap as well as who's going to be next to start. I think it's going to be Todd. The Dutchman coming across to start. No, the only Red Bull here tonight. So we'll see. As I say, Todd did well last week. I do believe picking up. I don't know if I gave credit to Todd last week or not. I'd have to go back and look at the streams to see. But the Red Bull driver going around the third corner at the moment into sector 2 split. So as I say, making sure to get the best exit you can out there to make sure you do not end up in trouble, of course. So heading now, I think he's down at the 4 and 5 complex of Roche. I'm not sure the best way of pronouncing that is, to be honest, unfortunately. But he's Dutchman now heading through turn 6 and 7. Crucial to see you can invalidate there if you're not careful. 97 thousandths of a second quicker with a purple middle sector for the Red Bull driver with about 3 minutes 20 on the clock. McLaren in trouble further back, but for the Red Bull driver that's not going to be as of importance as he heads through Rint and through turn 9 and 10. It's going to be a 1 minute 5.0. He improves by 0.3 of a second, moves himself up into 8th position for the time being, so good improvements there. We'll see what Curel Pasco is currently doing. He's just gone across the line. I believe he's just on 1 minute 4.5, so improvements for the Aston Martin driver, the Canadian Martin driver, the Canadian around here. I don't know why that came out like that one, it just did. Anyway, as I say, Sant, Sant, I think has just started, so we'll stay on board at the moment. He's just immediately had the thing of, that's the thing with that corner, you do have to be careful not to invalidate on that corner, because if you end up running a bit too wide off of that, then even a little bit and it will just invalidate your lap. But it's just like one of those real strange things with the track limits around here, is you just fall foul of it a lot. This and sort of Canada are kind of probably your worst offenders for that sort of thing in terms of that. As we got about just over 2 minutes left in this qualifying session. You see how quickly this race is going to go, because while safety cars can come out around here, it's a race of all safety cars or nothing. It's very much a case of nothing's in between. You either get all the safety cars or none of the safety cars, or virtual sometimes in my case, which I've seen from league races. But I think Saint will have to go around again. We'll see what Maldi's currently doing at the moment. I think he's currently, he's on a flyer at the moment. 2/10 improvement, personal best for the Visa Cash App RB driver, who is currently heading around to finish up on what will be his second sector split. Just under 2/10 of improvement so far, personal best, but does get caught out by being a bit too much on that left-hand curb. We'll have to go around again, so probably have to save enough fuel and probably have to go and maybe do an entire lap round once again. So immediate slowdown realizes, oh, that's an interesting one. I don't. Maldi, where are you going? You will not want to watch that one back. Let's be 100% real. Anyway, we're going to go off board with that. He's also ruined probably his next lap as well, unfortunately. We'll go off board with him. Pierre. On a lap, middle sector split now. Let's see what the Frenchman can do. Curel Pasco goes to the top, a 1 minute 4.4 for the Aston Martin driver. Very imperious lap in there, as we're sitting on about 30 seconds left in this qualifying session. Let's see what Pierre can do as he comes across the line. It's going to be an improvement on 4th position. He's on a 1 minute 4.6 at the moment, so we'll see what the Frenchman can do. In the Williams, as he comes across the line, it's going to be 1 minute 4.5. Marginal improvement by 70 thousandths of a second, and that is probably his last run, unless he's got enough fuel to go again. But everyone else is now indeed on laps. Raceboy is currently on a lap at the moment as well. 80 thousandths of a second up on his first sector split time. He's currently just marginally down on the fastest lap time of Curel Pasco by 94 thousandths at the moment. Stevens also on a lap, who also had a fast lap in this qualifying session at one point or another. So we'll see who is. I think it's going to be an Aston Martin to cross the line first. So I'm going to see who that one might well be. I think that's Aston Martin who's going to start on a lap. Unfortunate there for there it says the LDL racer boy is about to come across the line. Curel Pasco is done. No further improvements for the Canadian and the Aston Martin. What's Racer Boy going to do? Cross the line. It's going to be a 1 minute 4.3. So he does go to the top. Totty Stevens in the pits. No improvements there, and I think Pierre is done as well. So what's Anvi going to be able to do? You see Alonso goes 5th. Anvi goes into 6th. Keeson is probably one of your last cars to cross the line. He's 93 thousandths of a second down on his second sector split. So he's going to have to find a little bit in this final sector. And he's 8 thousandths of a second quicker. No improvements on his position, but he has improved by 8 thousandths. So that is your qualifying. Nice sort of a quick affair in terms of rounds here, as the lap times are so short around this track, but 36 laps of your racing coming up here. So it is a Canadian front row, different teams of course. Just over 1/10 of a second covers the top two, from Racer Boy to Kirill Pasco. The Brit Salty Stevens is alongside the Frenchman Pierre, FC Alonso, and Anvi the Turk, 5th and 6th. STB Maldi the Brazilian, and he's in the Canadian in 7th and 8th. Todd in 9th, Proc in 10th, Joan Lasses, Trillo, Saint, Kaylee and Tibute. Well, Kaylee and Tibute not being able to lap times, but that makes up your, I believe, the 15 or 16 car grids that will be contesting this Austrian Grand Prix, which promises to be an absolute cracker, so don't go anywhere. You want to see the action unfold as we head into 36 laps of racing action around a venue that is no stranger to racing action in terms of seen its fair share of racing as well as controversies around here. Hopefully we won't see too much of the controversies on a level that we would have seen with the sort of the likes of Ferrari in 2002. So, well, as I say, will all be crucial for the drivers to sort of keep themselves within the obvious track limits, which will be playing themselves a very crucial role in terms of what we'll be looking at, because it could be a thing that could settle this whole race really. As we are underway for the formation lap. It's still weird to me for some of this, because some leagues I do comment for run the formation lap, but they don't. Some do, some don't. That's what I'm saying there. Anyway, mainly medium compound tyres for all the drivers. The front row is different in terms of the fact that Racer Boy is on the mediums, Kirill Pasco's on the hards. I'd imagine it's an easy one stop for either if there is no safety cars, of course. If the safety car on Burmeilander does not come into the fold in terms of the race, we will have to see on that one. But second and third on the hards. New Zealand is also on the hards, and then further back, Pirlo, much like Monza, where he was the only driver to do so, the Italian, is on the hards, of course. Everyone else in between and around them is on the mediums and will have the better grip off the line. However, they will probably fade a little bit, will probably end up on the hard compound tyres unless they have the abilities. The two Canadians have realised they've got a bit too far ahead and have slowed down a little bit because they don't want to be at the grid too early and have cold tyres. So, smart decision making there from the two Canadians taking up the front row of the grid. Funny that, as I say, certain other Canadian is also in an Aston Martin, but unfortunately, hopefully some of these guys here have a bit more talent than that certain Canadian around here. Anyway, enough roasting of Lance Stroll. Right, we are about to get ourselves underway for the racing action as everyone makes their way back to the grid, and I've got the world's worst camera view, so thanks Cody's for that. Nothing unusual, it does not give me good camera angles for this, like at all. As the lights will be on once everyone gets their cars back towards the grid. Interesting run from Racer Boy here. He's decided to line himself up to the right to try and see if he can cut the angle off. Anyway, we'll have to see if that's going to work. The red lights are indeed going to be coming on very shortly. Held for a little bit, but the lights are indeed now on as 36 laps of racing will be underway here in the Styrian Mountains, and it's lights out and away we go. It looks like a good start there from Racer Boy as Kirill Pasco gets a little bit of struggles with the launch, so it seems like a decent launch from him as well. Pierre's got himself still in 4th, the FC Alonso battling with Maldi for 5th position as Anvi drops down to 7th. The Turk having a bit of a terrible start there on the medium compound tyres. A lot of the drivers around him are on the mediums as well. Pierre's battling side by side, almost a 3 wide, as Pierre's going side by side with the FC Alonso. Those two going side by side. A little bit of commotion there as Caleb picks up a 10-second penalty for a collision with Keeson, as Keeson's been in a little bit of trouble. STB Maldi gets himself past the RB, getting into 5th, demoting Alonso down to 6th. Just on the onboard there is what you could see. Anvi is looking like trying to get alongside. The Turk trying to hustle and harry his way through as we head through the middle sector. That's Maldi out wide, that's going to drop him down. That's a little bit of contact with the Turk of Anvi, that's going to lose him in position to Todd, the Dutchman getting past. That is a virtual safety car deployed. I think that is for Kaylee, who's had a little bit of trouble there in the Haas. Indeed, across the gravel trap is the Haas Haas, unfortunately. Wonder if there's any damage on that car. Perhaps we're going to have to pit. It does look like it's struggling to make the corners, so unfortunately it looks like there could be some damage on the car there. Anyway, yeah, there's definite damage. There is no front wing on that car. So that's a bit of an unfortunate one. I don't know what's going on here with the Haas. Probably wanted to go in the pits there. Well, interesting one. Had to monitor that one, of course. Still carrying on. Interesting. I've probably just missed the pit lane, unfortunately. So, anyway, still in the virtual safety car conditions. So deltas will be out for the drivers, making sure that you do not speed under the virtual safety car, of course, because you will pick up a drive-through if you do go into the red on the delta. And the delta can sometimes be cruel and unpredictable, as many drivers I've raced with have found out. Anyway, looks like a racer boy still held on to his lead, of course. I think that's virtual safety car must have come out. His DRS has once again been enabled, and we're back up to racing speed as it's all very close at the front of the field, with everyone still within 1 second of each other because of quite early on, as Kaylee has retired from the Grand Prix in the same place. Unfortunately, there is not going to be a safety car deployed for that. In this case, as it looks like Anvi is going to try and potentially make a move on Todd, get that position back having lost it. Round the outside goes Anvi, trying to get round the outside of the Dutchman, but there's not going to be no moves made there. Glasses in the background is trying to hit their way through as well. The Brit trying to go through. Anvi does get past. There's going to be some potential 3 wide moment as Glasses tries to force his way down the inside, but he's going to be on the tighter line. However, does get a good exit coming off here. We've got another side by side with AFC Alonso and Maldi just up front, which you can just see going on as Glasses gets the move done. Maldi as well is a double side by side there. Could there be a little bit of a cutback here for Anvi in the McLaren? Nope, it is exactly the same. And Todd is once again going to try and have a look as we got Pirlo and Sant we're going side by side, and Sant losing the position to Pirlo, who is obviously starting a little bit further back. I think he's back to where he started. As this will all remain very close at the front of the field, probably not running so it's too much time at the moment, but it is very congested, as I say, all over the field at the moment. As I say, you can't just keep your eyes on one place. I'm going to go a little bit further up and see what's going on. Kirill Pasco, so his fastest lap, will go on board with the current fastest lap time and see what's going on. DRS, of course, is once again enabled. Is once again going to be, of course, would have been re-enabled after that initial contact, which caused the virtual safety car. Unfortunately, Kaylee retired out of the Grand Prix as Anvi and Glasses swap a position. But for the lead of the Grand Prix, there's also a swap position. 2 Canadians going side by side. It's also side by side behind. That's Pierre and Salty Stevens behind as well. So you can see that in the background as well. Pierre, the Frenchman, getting the move done, trying to go round the outside of Kirill Pasco. Pasco holds onto the position. The Canadian, having lost the lead of the Grand Prix, still in second position, having tried to make the move on Racer Boy. Maybe those hard tyres not quite up to temperature yet. Beautiful camera, helicopter shot as they head through. You can see quite a few of the cars in shot there. You can see all the way up to, I think that's EFC Alonso, the only remaining Haas in this race. And you can see Andy's in a little bit of trouble a little bit further back. He's 1.2 seconds behind, and he's going to have trouble from behind from Glasses, Tribute, Todd and Joan. Pirlo as well going to have a little bit of trouble from the 2 guys behind him as Sant and Proc. And Andy with the fast lap of the Grand Prix so far, a 1 minute 6.7. Although it's also going to be very close in this field, as you can see, you can pretty much throw a blanket over all these drivers. And round the outside, once again, Kirill Pasco does indeed get lead of the Grand Prix, but it's still going to be side by side. A little bit of a lock up there from Kirill Pasco, a little bit of contact, however, good sportsmanship there from the Mercedes to not make the move. Does, however, mean he's lost the position there, and Pierre's going to go for 2 here. Go for a double, 2 in 2 corners, and that's going to be moved done and dusted for the Williams driver. Not the best of camera angles as it turns in. Racer Boy and Kirill Pasco side by side. Look on board from the rear of the Williams rear wing. Almost a side by side behind from Maldi and Salty Stevens as well. Great, does provide some great racing, Austria, and so far it's not disappointing as Salty Stevens is trying to go side by side with the LDL Racer Boy. Trying to go as they go side by side, the Canadian versus the Brit. Does lose position. Maldi then sending his way through as well. Maldi does lose a little bit of the rear and grip there as Tribute, I think, has gone round in the Ferrari. So he's lost it at between Rint turn 9 and turn 10. As that's Racer Boy with a little bit of an issue there, losing the back end of the car. That's going to drop him all the way into the back of that queue, unfortunately. Near enough, he's dropped back into 6th position, but that's also quite a few positions, so the front row, only one of the two front row is still in the same position they were in, as Racer Boy and Anby go side by side, as I think there might have been potentially some contact as Anby's gone round. The Turkish driver, probably not best impressed with that one. That's why the yellow flag is out for that one. Perhaps maybe will have been a little bit of curb contact. CFC Alonso having a little bit of trouble. Pasco, as I say, back up in second, holding on to the coattails of Pierre now, as Pierre's on the mediums, of course. Kirill Pasco on the hards will be on the better tyres come the end of the Grand Prix. And we're already 6 laps into this Grand Prix. As I already said, this race would absolutely fly by. And so far, it is absolutely proving that. You've got to be careful with those types of lines there, though, Pascal. Potentially picking up some track warnings for doing something along those lines. As Todd, I think, and Gloucester battling, I think, a little bit further behind. We'll go back board with him in just a little bit. I think there's going to be a move made, actually, as they go side by side. We'll come off that lead battle for just a moment. It has been a change of lead once again, but it's probably going to happen quite a few times. Juan's also involved with this as well. The Spaniard does get his way through in the kick server. He's through into 7th. 4.1 seconds is a gap between these drivers, and the cars up ahead. Looks like that was almost the side by side between Todd and Juan, as around the outside now goes Glasses, the teammate of, I believe, the current 6th position driver. So we've got a yellow flag once again. That's a side by side between the Ferrari, Tebut and Proc. That's a position change there for 13th. And we'll go a little bit further up back to the battle on what's currently, unless anything happens here in this little battle here between the two for 8th and 9th. Todd's trying to hold onto the coattails of Glasses here, and is still behind for the time being. We're going to go up to 4th once again though, because I think we're going to potentially have change of position once again. This is going to happen a lot through this Grand Prix. Pierre's managed to get a little bit of a gap. Maldi's looking to try and make a move down the inside. Not going to be in this DRS zone, it's going to be in the next one if he wants to make it. The second of the 3 DRS zones around this Red Bull ring. And here we go once again down towards the end of the first sector split. And into the corner we go. It's going to be late brake manoeuvre from Maldi. Can he get it pulled up? Yes, he can. However, Pierre's going to have me side by side. This is once again going to cause a little bit of pain for a brief moment. But Pierre does still have the DRS. Once again, as I say, these two did battle once again. Well, these two, as I say, did a lot of battling back at Monaco and before in the unfortunate moment for Maldi, of course. But as Salty Stevens almost thinks about making a move down the outside of Maldi there through, I think, between 7 and 8. As they now head through. And towards lap number 9, we're going to be in double digits very soon. As Glasses now picks up a time penalty. Time penalty rather. As we've got Juan and Glasses, so all positions a little bit further back. Cannot take eyes off this lead battle though. It's an incredible sort of 5-car battle as Salty Stevens runs wide. That's going to allow AFC Alonso through. That's I think it must have been a little bit of a Salty Stevens not fully being aware, perhaps. Either that or late brake manoeuvre, which almost went wrong there. Anyway, Kirill Pasco still battling away. I think there was a little bit of 2 cars getting stuck on each other there as Maldives tries to make his way through. Hopefully not doing gymnastics like he was doing last time out in Monza with the barriers. Down the inside he goes. The Maldives trying to make his way through. Does get through. As AFC Alonso going to try and make his way through as well. Round the outside of turn 7. This would be a brave move if he can pull it off, but the Canadian does hold on to the position of third for the moment. It's very close, and we got another yellow flag. That's going to be F1X Saint. The Spaniard having a little bit of trouble at the back of the field on, I think Proc's also pitted for a new set of hard compound tyres, so those mediums must already be in trouble for him, as you're going to see those time penalties start to mount up. That's 3 on the board now in this whole thing, with 2 still around as Kirill Pasco thinks about making a move down the inside briefly, ducks out of the slipstream, but opts not to go for the move as they head through. Thinking wisely to wait, but he may well be overtaken here by AFC Alonso if he's not 100% careful. But it's going to be a double 2x2 Noah's Ark, a double Noah's Ark style. As they go side by side for the lead of the Grand Prix, we'll go and do the onboard shot. That again shows the best thing here as AFC Alonso only using a little bit of the, not using the batter. He's going to get a little bit of the good old squeeze here by the Canadian. As the Canadian puts his nose up the inside of Pierre. The Frenchman leaves the space. Williams' driver does get overtaken by the Aston Martin driver. You see Alonso trying to make his way round the outside. This would be a brave move. You can pull it off. You can get the grip to work round the outside. AFC Alonso. That's going to be a great move. You can pull it off on the onboard. That's a stunning move there if you can get it done. Pierre still there side by side. I think AFC Alonso is going to try and send it the outside of turn 9. He's not managed to do it, but Pierre does fade him behind. As Andy and I think Todd have been taking it a lot together still. As I say, Todd is still trying to get past Glasses in the position for P7. Racer Boy's kind of fell away a little bit, his pace kind of struggling a little. Looks like we changed position a little bit further up, but Todd's going to try and go down the inside as he goes towards turn number 1. Of course, using that path into the Max Verstappen helmet, as Andy does get the move done on the Red Bull driver. Andy now trying to go for the double. The Turkish driver down the inside. Oh, near contact between the two of them, and the door firmly gets shut in the face of the Turkish driver. And we've got change of position for the lead of the Grand Prix still going on. I think we've got two cars stuck together. I think Naldi's kind of got stuck on Pasco there, so may well be some words said on that one. Who knows? And that's LDL, that's Racer Boy up now. Maldi's dropped into 5th with Pasco dropping down to 6th. As Prillo and Todd swapping up positions a little bit further back. That's going to reduce this car down, this battle down to a 3-car battle now, with AFC Alonso taking the lead of the Grand Prix. That looks like that's Prillo and Todd who's had a little bit of contact. The Italian and the Dutchman have had a little bit of fisticuffs down there at between, I think that's in turn 8, so unfortunate there for the two of them, dropping them a little bit further down. Prillo in 11th as Keeson's into the pits after 10 laps for the hard compound tyres, so wouldn't be anything else at this point, I would think, for the Williams driver. But as I say, has kind of held it a little bit, but Maldi now is trying to send it down the inside, does get the move done, as Pasco is also trying to get back through on where, these two, Racer Boy and Pasco, both started on the front row, have kind of dropped down off it just a little bit, as they're now battling for 5th and 6th, with Maldi for 4th, as Maldi holds on to his position for 4th, as Andy and Glasses now swapping up positions a little bit further back. I think Andy's dropped in position once again. We'll go back to this little battle here for what is currently P4 at the moment. That's the yellow flag. That's going to be, I think that's Tribute, having trouble once again in 12th position. Unfortunate there for the second Ferrari driver, not having the most amount of fun, as Maldi now picks up a penalty. Has about 3 seconds now, as you see, obviously has lost a little bit of time. He's 3 seconds behind the top 3 now. In a bit of a world of his own, could be in trouble here, could be using a little bit of DRS share here now, because I think that would be his best idea, to try and work their way back, but who knows if these two will manage to get themselves to work together. That is, as it was almost a 3 wide, as Pasco thought about putting himself in there for a 3 wide, but then decided wisely to back out of it. You can see the 3 in front as well are battling, so this is like, it's 2 3-way battles at the moment. You've got the battle for the lead, and then you've got the battle for 4th. As Maldi's holding on to position once again, does not want to get stuck on the Mercedes or the Aston Martin, which I think has already happened perhaps with side pods stuck to front wheel. That does happen as Racer Boy goes round the outside and gets the move done, and I think we're going to see Pascal make a move round the outside as well if he can make this work. Yes, he has. That's an unusual spot. I was thinking that I didn't think that would work for overtaking, but as I say, these drivers proving me wrong as we come up to about half race distance here in this 36 lap race. As I say, it's going to be interesting to see his two hard runners who currently lead, Pascal in 5th, and Prillo, the other hard runner, is currently down in 10th. So once again, it's not really working out for Prillo down in that 10th position. He's up 2 at the moment, but it's not fully working out as Salty Stevens is the first one up there to pick up the penalty in the top 3, as they're swapping positions just ahead, as AFC Alonso will now pick up the DRS and perhaps make his way through as Pierre's just sitting in the background, not really doing too much in terms of making moves, as he's going to make a move now on Salty Stevens for the lead of the Grand Prix once again. You're going to see this a lot as we go through, as we come up to half race distance next time around, as the Ferrari driver holds on. It's Haas, customer team versus the engine supplier versus the customer team buy-in. I'm not sure that was the best way that was going to be said, but unfortunately that's the way that came out. Anyway, the only remaining Haas driver is putting the pressure on to the back of Salty Stevens. Got to be careful not to pick up more warnings you head through there, because that is a very easy place to pick up warnings as a DRS is indeed enabled, as Kirill Pascal picks up a 3 penalty for not respecting of the track limits. FC Alonso will once again go around the outside, and Salty Stevens will once again be demoted down to P2. You can see Saint in front of them as well, the last of the 15 runners. Not having the best of times, and I think his day, well, it's about to get worse for him, because he's about to get lapped in the field, and unfortunately that's probably his race most likely done, as we're still looking at the lead of the Grand Prix at the moment. Looks like focusing a little bit further back between Glasses and those two. That battle's still going on for position as Todd and Prillo will go back to their battle for just a moment. Now looks like Prillo's just completed the move into turn number 4, or turn number 3 rather, after the kink at 2, and has managed to get the position done. But Todd, as I say, he's not quite done with that one yet, but he's not going to be able to do anything there, as Anvi and Glass are still very close together, sitting nearly 8 seconds to the gap between these two now, and that's, as I say, it's a bit of an issue. Excuse me. Anyway, Zanvi thinks about a move down the inside, but I think he's coming into the pit lane, so no further action will be played at that. Back to the battle for the lead of the Grand Prix then. Racer Boy now picking up a penalty, so a lot of it, say, the drivers are going to start picking up penalties slowly but surely. Obviously know that if EFC Alonso or Pierre can keep it clean, they will be in a good position as the McLaren of Saint out of the way of the drivers, and Keys, I think, is trying to make his way back through on the hard compound tires, having boxed already. I think having had a collision, as you see, with the unfortunate Kaylee early on. Wasn't sure why the Haas driver just didn't go. Wasn't sure why the Haas driver went into the pit on that virtual safety car, but I suppose we can never understand the inner workings of these drivers. Looks like it's sort of stable here. Racer Ball looks like he's putting the pressure on. Mercedes on the back of Maldi, and putting the pressure on the back of Pascal. All these drivers now carrying penalties, so no one has any advantage. It's whoever gets through on track at the moment, as we've gone over half race distance. Running into the pits after 15 laps on the mediums. He's going to go for the hard compound tires, I would think. We've got a change of position in fourth lead of the Grand Prix. Is Maldi going to try and make his way through round the outside? No, he's not going to quite be able to pull that one off. So we're going to potentially see a drop of positions once again for the lead. Just up ahead, as Proc picks up another penalty. I think he was already carrying one, so he's a second one for him of the day. As EFC Alonso and Salty Stevens go side by side once again between 7 and 8, and I think Salty Stevens has made contact, but has managed to keep it going in a straight line. So has lost 2 positions, but is still still in 3rd position. So he's okay. Just would have had a bit of overheating tyres and all that one. I think that was just front wheel to side pod contact, and we normally know how that one ends. Unfortunately, it does not end well for the car that has that gets caught in the side pod. Unfortunately, still this battle going for 4th position further back as Maldi continues to harry and harass the rear of that Aston Martin of Pascal, as he thinks a bit of move down the inside, but he does not manage to make it work. However, there's a mistake from Pascal. I think he ran a little bit wide. That's going to allow Racer Boy through as well. So 2 positions lost for Pascal. Those hard tyres will be coming soon into their own, I would think. I suppose something I didn't know obviously about Pascal, I think he did put in that he is of course a no assist driver, so that's maybe something else to take into account also. Would be maybe something that would perhaps work on all of that. Bear with me just a moment, it's picking me up. Party chat. Anyway, sorry about that. It just put me out of the... It does this every so often where it just put me out of the parties I'm currently in. It's just really annoying. Anyway, less of that. Pierre still holding on to position from Alonso at the moment. These two still without penalties at the moment. As they go side by side. The Frenchman trying to make his way through on Alonso. You've still got Salty Stevens in the background as well as Racer Boy and Maldi go side by side for fourth position. Pierre round the outside. Is he going to be able to pull this one off around the outside? A little bit of a lock up, and unfortunately means that he doesn't carry the momentum he needs as we go on to lap number 20 almost here. That's Racer Boy picking up another penalty there. So it is all going to come down to who has penalties and who doesn't, I think, in the end. Because I think Racer Boy's dropped down again. Is Todd still battling away with Prillo in the background as well, as Prillo thinks about going back down the inside with the DRS. Well, after the being overtaken by Todd, but Todd does keep hold of the position. As still there's about 3 or 4 different battles going on at the moment, trying to go between them all. As Kirill Pascal once again is trying to get past Maldi. And he is going to get down the inside, but they're going to be side by side, losing them each other a little bit of time. But it is going to be Maldi's going to get the DRS once again. Rearward camera view, and you can see exactly what's happening here. You can see that is the Visa Cash App going through. You've also got a great view behind. It's almost 3 wide there for a brief moment. So we're on at 16 laps to go here in the Grand Prix. As Pascal once again is going to try to go around the outside. As I think. Is that rain I can see on screen? Yes, it is. So this race just got livened up a little bit. A little bit of extra spice has just been added into the equation here, as we got swap positions once again for the lead of the Grand Prix. That's Pierre was leading to EFC Alonso once again. So those who pitted, they want to go as long as possible because perhaps they want to get into the intermediates in these remaining 16 laps. But how quickly is this rain going to fall? Is it going to be quick enough for a change onto those intermediates? Because obviously the intermediates do a better job than what the full wets actually do, is Racer Boys into the pit lane, perhaps for a set of those intermediates. We'll have to see on the timing board there as he comes round and goes into the pits to change those tyres. It is indeed the intermediates, so how quickly is this grip going to disappear? I mean, for his sake it's going to have to be soon, because the intermediates, if you don't have the if they're not quite in the right temperature range, they will overheat very quickly. So the DRS part of this is soon going to be nullified if we carry on going down the route this is currently going on, as Salty Stevens gets past EFC Alonso for position. That's why some potentially starting the hard compound tyres, so looking good at the moment, as Keeson obviously will be perhaps in a little bit of saying many words in either French-Canadian or just Canadian in general. As Salty Stevens does take lead of the Grand Prix from Pierre. Pierre's probably a very worn rubber at the moment at this point. So let's see if Salty Stevens does opt to box. Nope, he's staying out for the moment. I think everyone behind him is also opting to stay out. Real Pascal, I think, and Maldi have dropped back a little bit from each other. So this is currently your best battle at the moment. The battle for the top 3. You can see Kirill Pascal in the background, 3 seconds behind. Maldi now boxes on off of 21 lap old mediums. He's probably going to go on to intermediates as well, as Anvi is also Anvi's been in the box as well, probably going to go for a set of intermediates, and so is Keeson once again, Todd and Prillo. As Racer Boy does get the position on Maldi, of course. Racer Boy did go and pit the previous lap, so making the undercut work for the intermediates. Half the field, more than half the field now on the intermediates. Only a few drivers left on the slicks, that being the top 4. Proc, who is in 9th at the moment, and Tibiet, who's currently in 14th, but he's also in the pits, probably going to be shooting on the intermediates. Anyway, EFC Alonso and Pierre are battling behind for position. EFC Alonso has got the position, and now into the box. I think they are all coming, because the rain has got to a point where I think it's got a bit too slippery for the slicks. So into the pits come the top 3. I'm expecting Pascal in as well. Be careful you make your braking marker for the pit lane, and do not speed. As all for the top 4 all box, DRS hidden, disabled, and now it is all pretty much about slipstream. So we'll have to see how the drivers adapt to this new dangerous phenomenon. As we got a yellow flag, that would be McLaren. That would be a thing. Let's see. Just had a little bit of trouble. Props stayed out. Salty Stevens is coming out. It's going to be LDL Racer Boy. Racer Boy does make the move around the outside, and now no DRS. So all slipstream and ERS deployment now towards the end as Salty Stevens thinks about putting his nose up the inside. Does get his car in there, but unfortunately does not manage to make any position as Prop the final car on the slicks. Boxes for the intermediates. As we're now on to lap number 23. Only the one retirement so far in the race, that being Haley. Unfortunately, earlier on, his Prop just went onto the wets. Interestingly enough, I think we're going to be seeing him go back onto the intermediates fairly soon because the wets, as much as you think they do a good job, they don't really, unfortunately. So we've got a four-way battle now once again for position, and looks with EFC Alonso and Pierre looking in a great position, and once again Maldi finds himself with his old company of Pascal, which he's pretty much had for most of this race going. So, as I say though, it is looking good for Maldi though. Much better position than last week, of course, where he found himself doing gymnastics upside down in a wall at Ascari, or the exit of Ascari, rather. So he's in a much better position there than he was previously. As I think Pierre and Alonso, they need to not battle each other too much here, because those two, losing themselves time, could drop themselves out of a range of slipstream here. So they need to be somewhat careful and not losing position, but I suppose the two in front are battling as well. So that's maybe another thing that these two battling in front probably are going to help as well massively. As you can probably see just ahead, these two battling for supremacy for the lead of the Grand Prix. Coming up on 11 to go here at the Red Bull Ring, and all still, as I say, top four all still very close together. It is a battle for P5 still between STB Maldi and Kuro Pascal, and that's pretty much all your battles for this race at the moment. We'll see how that little battle is going to Maldi and Pascal. Maldi just picked himself up with a penalty just as I was about to go on board with that battle, so he's now 6 seconds. There is your penalty count, 6 seconds for both LDL, Racer Boy and Salty Stevens, as well as Maldi. Everyone else in 3 seconds apart from Prillo, who's 6. Proc is also on 6. Let's say Kuro Pascal still keeping himself within that range at the moment. Just needs to keep himself within 3 seconds. Going back to the battle for the lead of the Grand Prix and the battle for third. Almost an Ozark once again, as it's almost side by side. Looks like a little bit of a, once again, side pod into front right wheel there for the Ferrari, which means he could be in a little bit of trouble if he wasn't careful there, as Pierre thinks about a move. But once again, it's just kind of sitting in behind, just letting the others go to town and basically battle with each other. He's kind of just sitting there waiting for his opportunity, and when that presents itself, he'll probably go for that, opportunity. As I saw, Stevens in second place is battling for that position as Andy's then caught back up to his someone else who he was battling with for a while, that being Glasses. Mercedes, who's currently in 7th position, half a second covering that battle down in 7th. Salty Stevens, meanwhile, is still looking to try and make his way through these drivers. Both 6 seconds of penalties, so they will not drop below 4th at the moment. But one of these drivers will drop off the podium if it comes to this rate, as we come on to up on 10 to go here. Unless one of the two drivers behind them does at least pick up a penalty, but even in that case, it's still not going to matter, as the Ferrari driver of Salty Stevens thinks about a move down the inside, but there's no position where he's going to be able to make that one work. As they now head down with no DRS now, of course, as Pierre makes his way through into 3rd, as EFC Alonso drops to 4th, as we got Andy and Glasses, I think, swapping positions behind. Glasses holding on to that position from Anvey, the Turk holding on to trying to get past the Brit here in the Mercedes for 7th position here. Not featured much of this battle as I've recently seen a little bit of it earlier on, but a little bit of contact between the two of them, and we're still not able to clear past at the moment, and the Mercedes driver holds on to their position in 7th at the moment. So those two continue their battle. They're about 15 seconds behind this battle for P6, which we're going to have a look at just a moment as I head back up to see what's going on there. Puro Pasco still holding on to that 1 second zone of Maldi, and Maldi now probably has to see if he can force Pasco into a mistake and perhaps drop him with another penalty and maybe make this a bit more equal between the two drivers. As you can see that battle up ahead as well, still raging on. You can see Salty Stevens trying to make his way through still, but in these conditions I suppose it could have been nullified a little bit, because now there's no DRS, which means the DRS trains effectively just turned to slipstream trains now, so it is all very much about making sure that you get the job done and perhaps pull away now, because the DRS not being active anymore is going to make the job of certain drivers much easier. Perhaps certain drivers planned for this weather, who knows? But to be honest, we'd never know, I suppose, how a lot of these drivers do their preparations for the racing, of course. Each one may well go about it a little bit differently from each other in terms of the way they will see it. As we are, of course, heading through on to 28 of 36, so it's Stevens with a little bit of a moment there, coming out of the final corner. Pierre and EFC Alonso not close enough to make their way through, unfortunately, as Anbe is going to try and potentially have a go here into this detection zone or into the next straight. So we'll stay on board with the Turkish driver and see if the move can be pulled off by the McLaren driver on the Brit in front. And will he be able to make a move here? We'll have to see in just a moment, as it's not quite close enough. So I wonder if some of these drivers are running dry wing setups, perhaps, because this could be a reason why they're staying ahead but not being able to make any moves, or they may be running a wet setup, as Andy does indeed get the move done, but this is still there. It's going to be around the outside job here for Andy, who wants to make it work, but not enough momentum. However, good exit coming off of there. Got a much better run of momentum than I thought, as Andy makes his way through his glasses once again, making the move back into the corner just about the same point as to see where Hamilton and Albon collided back in 2020, of course, as mentioned right pretty much at the beginning of the stream. Anyway, as these two battle for position still, as Pasco still just a bit holding on to that position, and Todd a little bit further back, still in his little battle with Prillo, the Italian, in this battle for what is currently, I think, the final points position at the moment, as Todd, I think, carrying perhaps one less penalty. Yes, he's carrying one less penalty than the cars in front of glasses has. Anby has retired from the Grand Prix. That is in pit lane, so unfortunately there will be no further part played from the Turkish driver, having just got past as well the Mercedes. Unfortunately, there will be no further part played. So that's now 2 retirements in this Grand Prix. So 2 retirements, not bad actually, but unfortunately they're from Anby in McLaren. So there will be only one McLaren in this race, and unfortunately Saint is a lap down on leaders. So there will be no points coming from McLaren, I don't think, today. As Todd carries on his battle, but unfortunately he's still stuck behind at the moment, not being able to make a lot of positions. Has still decided to carry on with this strategy of trying the hard, the wet compound tyres, but unfortunately not managing to make it work. So as we go back to the battle for what is now second place, and I think Salty Stevens is struggling in these conditions, because now he's got Pierre all over the back of him as we're going on 6 to go here in this Grand Prix. I mean, the time has absolutely flown by in all of this. And looking at it, we could potentially have we've still got plenty of time for racing action here between these top 4, as well as Kirill, Pasco and Maldi. Maldi looking at Pasco still staring at the back of Maldi's car at the moment. Pasco lifting up a massive slide, of course, in these conditions. Running assist versus no assist, that's sort of the big massive difference you perhaps get when running that sort of thing. Perhaps because he's struggling a little bit there. That's Salty Stevens with a spin. I did think that was perhaps coming at some point. Looks like the back end of that car was not happy at any point. So the Ferrari down to 6th, out with this battle, and Pasco struggling a little bit with the rear end grip, and perhaps it's the little bit of lack of practice there from the Canadian. Perhaps struggling. There's Prillo and Todd with swap of positions, the 2 of them. Still going on actually. DRS as Todd gets the move done, as Maldini picks up another penalty, so he moves on to 9 seconds of penalties now. So really starting to mount up for the Visa Cash Up RB driver, unfortunately. Pierre has actually dropped off a little bit, so there could be a little bit to note from that one. It's kind of splintering off a little bit now. I wonder if Pierre made a little bit of a mistake somewhere, because that is Pierre's now fell out of the range of slipstream, and now all he's going to be getting is a wall of dirty air in the front, and basically giving him more understeer, which is probably not helpful in these conditions. Let's be 100% honest. Now it's a battle for second. Of course, we know Pierre's going to get back the lead of the Grand Prix come the end of this because of post-race penalties for Racer Boy with those 6 seconds, which effectively means that he's probably effectively out of the running for the lead of the Grand Prix. He will still be able to get Maldi, I do think, for 4th, or finish ahead of Maldi for 3rd position. But Pascal behind him might well have something to say on that one as well. Prillo and Joan go side by side a little bit further back. The battle for the final point is Joan, the Spaniard, trying to make his way past around the outside through, I think that's into turn 5, that is, into 6. These two getting very close together. Pretty much know what it is. Looking at it, I think, yes, that was 4 and 5, yeah. That's into 6 now, so it's Joan with a little bit of a slide. That's going to catch out theirs. Past Maldi for P4, side by side sub team Prillo and Joan. And I think Joan might well have not left enough space there for Prillo, and I think the Italian might be left hard done by there, because I think he deserved a little bit more space there than the Alpine driver. So many colourful Italian words may well have been said in that cockpit there. Who knows? Just my point of view on that. Anyway. And the battle for 4th still going on. Pasco now leads that little 2-car that battle with himself and Maldi. Obviously, we know Maldi is not going to be able to get the position on penalties. He's on 9 seconds. Struggling a little bit as Pierre's now got himself back within range again. As it's going to be a potential overtake fluid of the Grand Prix as well, but I don't think it's quite happened. Maldi's going to try to go back up the inside once again as we're on 3 to go here in what has now become a very wet Red Bull ring now. So really we are looking at seeing what's going to happen, and that's almost an overtake there from EFC Launch just ahead. We'll go over that in just a second as Pasco's going to hold position around the outside. That's going to leave him in a little bit of a tighter line, and unfortunately that's going to get Maldi back 4th place in this equation for Pasco, unfortunately, as Pierre and EFC Alonso still continue on their battle. Still the only, as I say, now the only 2 drivers not falling foul of track limits. They're trying to go side by side as Racer Boy Pierre's trying to go side by side with Racer Boy, slow him down a little bit. Canadian is not phased in the slightest, simply shrugs it off and carries on, as Pierre is still trying to clear the Frenchman, is trying to clear the Canadian. 2 countries that of course know each other well in terms of certain parts of Canada, speaking a lot of the French language, of course. Did try to learn that when I was in school, but as I say, it wasn't as interesting as languages to me, unfortunately. But that is just my opinions on that. Trying to, as I say. Anyway, as Glasses picks himself up on a penalty level 4 down in 7th position, Keeson is gaining ground on him with 2 laps to go. Side by side they go for the lead of the Grand Prix once again. Pierre now trying to take the lead and maybe perhaps disappear as we're on 34, 36. Next time lap around will be the penultimate lap. So we've got a yellow flag once again. That's I think that's Proc who's having those wets. I think may have overheated a little bit because those tyres are not in a comfortable position in terms of where they really should be. This was also very close, as I say. Pasco's now dropped out of 1 second. Had to work himself back into the slipstream range once again. And Maldi for 4th. And Pierre is now going to try and see what can be done once again as they come on to the penultimate lap. Running out of opportunities here for wanting to win this on track. Of course we know that Racer Boy is going to be carrying those 6 seconds, make that 9 seconds now. So that's effectively maybe him out of running, but Maldi of course has those 9 seconds as well. We don't know if Pasco potentially could get himself involved in all this. I think he's only carrying 3 seconds, so could be something in it for Pasco. a little bit further back. I don't think though would drop any further back than 6th. Looking at it, because got a massive gap of about 18 and a half. There was about 18 and a half seconds. Has gained a little bit of ground once again, but Keesan's also gaining ground and trying to recover his way back through, of course, after those after that early bit of contact with Cayley, unfortunately, for the Canadian. He's back in 8th position at the moment, trying to do damage control. Looking at it at the moment, as we go into the penultimate lap, who's gained the most positions at the moment? It is looking like your decision gains glasses, who's up 5. Looking in top 3, it looks like Maldi, who's up 3. He started in 7th. He's now up to 4th, and it's up 2 for both Pierre and Alonso. But the racer started on pole, but unfortunately probably will drop down, as we're now coming towards what will be the final lap of the Grand Prix here, as Keesan now has got himself within range of glasses for that 7th position. I think he's carrying perhaps less penalties than what the Mercedes in front of him will be carrying. That will be a battle to watch out for as being onto the final lap, and the anticipation is real. Who will get that? Who will get the victory here? Is it going to be? Oh, there's a mistake here from Racer Boy. That's going to allow side by side from Pierre. This is now crunch time here. Side by side, Racer Boy with a better line coming into this corner here, turn 3. However, he's going to have to make this work if he wants to. He's not going to get a gap, of course. He's on 9 seconds of penalties. It's going to be the case in point. How far is he going to drop down? Because obviously we know he's going to drop off the top set of the podium. Will he drop off the podium altogether? We'll have to see as we come towards the end of AFC Alonso. Well, Pierre and AFC Alonso are probably going to go up a position each. And at the moment, as I say, Pierre's working himself up in the position for Driver of the Day award at the moment, for being quite patient and just not doing too much when he doesn't have to. Kirill Pasco's worked himself back into position for 4th. In the battle with himself with Maldi, of course. He'll get that position after penalties get applied at the end of the race. But then, well, obviously with those penalties for Maldi and those only short ones for that, so we got a final yellow flag. As it's going to be Racer Boy to cross the line first. He's going to win on track. However, he's going to lose the victory, I do suspect. He's going to drop to 3rd. Is he going to drop behind Maldi? We'll have to see. He does indeed drop behind Maldi, but Kirill Pasco gets 3rd, so he drops off the podium entirely. So the Canadian, who managed to rescue that race, finishes on the podium after everything else. And AFC Alonso and Pierre finish .088 apart. 88,000th of a second separated the top 2 come the end of the Grand Prix. Incredibly close. We're going to go back to the battle for the battle for 7th place. I think it's going to be Keesan who's going to get that on the line with penalties being applied. He gets 7th place indeed. Waiting for 4 cars to cross the line. That is going to be Todd, Joan, Prillo and Tibute. Well, as I say, Prillo not the best race for him, Tibute the same. Joan, kind of a mixed bag for him. He finishes, he's going to get the final point in the field. Prillo will finish outside the points, having gone up 1. And Tibute, I think, started at the back of the field, will move up about 3 or 4. But my Driver of the Day award, we're going to go on board with the man himself. It is going to be Pierre. The Frenchman in the Williams is going to pick up the Driver of the Day for Tier 3. At least for myself. I don't know if you do those in the server. In the STB server, you can also decide that amongst yourselves in that server, of course. But that is your coverage for this Grand Prix. And as I say, Pierre wins the Grand Prix. Congratulations to him. He also picks up Driver of the Day from the game, and I am going to be agreeing with the Driver of the Day award from the game. So congratulations to Pierre. You are Driver of the Day for Tier 3 here at Austria, holding the flag in a very familiar position to a certain other Frenchman who held it in F2 around the Paul Ricard circuit. Unfortunately, no longer with us in real life. Anyway, well done to Pierre. Alongside him, finishing just behind him, was EFC Alonso. Gave him a great little run for his money come the end of the Grand Prix. And finishing on the final step of the podium was Pascal in his first race. So not a bad result. A bit of damage limitation from 2nd place on the grid. Finishes in 3rd. The only two in the top 2 are the only ones without penalties. So it's Pierre, Alonso and Pascal who complete the podium. Outside of that, it was LDL Racer Boy, with Maldi finishing in 5th. 6th was Salty Stevens after that spin for him causing him to drop down. Keesan will finish in 7th, actually gaining position after all that happened in the end. Glasses will finish in 8th, with Todd in 9th, and Joanne will take the final points position in 10th, just outside of the points and still finishing was Prillo, Tibute, Proc, and Saint. 1 and 2 laps down respectively for 13th and 14th, and your 2 not DNS were Anvi and Kaylee. Anyway, the field, the STB, the STB grid now heads to quick old check of that there. Anyway, the grid now heads, as I say, finally we head next to Canada. So I'll home a lot of these drivers here who were here tonight. So hopefully they can gather a little bit of extra performance from the crowd at the circuit Gilles Villeneuve, which will be next week, but next week for both Tier 1 and Tier 2, which will also be on this channel, so look forward to the coverage on those ones from the respective commentators. So, that's all that needs to really be said from me. This has been a great race here from the Austrian Grand Prix, and there will be coverage from Tier 1 on Monday, Tier 2 will be on Tuesday and Wednesday. I'll be back with Tier 3 coverage of the race from Canada at the circuit Gilles Villeneuve. So, with all that said and done, we'll see you for the Canadian Grand Prix next time out.